Sohom gas! Everybody!
Nailed it, got it perfectly right. So I don't want you to misjudge me because of what I want for Christmas. I do love my wife and kids. I just love spending time away from them even more. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm in my late 20s. Well, my very late 20s. I'm 38. And I'm quite new to stand-up, and I acknowledge this is a late age to start a career in comedy, but Donald Trump was 17 when he became president. And that's a very late age to start a career in comedy. So I actually live in London, and there's a lot of air pollution, and I heard that when you come out to places like Oxford, the sky is really clear and the stars are shining, and I have to say, that's pretty true, pretty accurate. So I want to tell you guys about an offensive email that I received recently. I was really upset. It was like an advert for Extra Strength Viagra. I showed my wife and I said, why? Why me? Seriously, why did you just send this to me? So when I first told my wife that I wanted to try stand-up, her answer was very similar to what Rebecca's mum said to her. She said, oh, is this just like a midlife crisis? And I said, I don't know, I can't predict when I'm going to die. And I did my very first stand-up gig later on that evening. Turns out I died immediately. So my wife said something really odd to me the other night. She said, have you even been listening to a single word I've been saying? And I remember thinking, that's a weird way to start a conversation. So when people ask me if I like being married, I say I do. And when they ask my wife, she says, yeah, I do, I suppose. Which is really sweet because it reminds me of our wedding vows. So anyway, speaking of gay uncles, when my uncle came out, it was like a massive shock to the whole family. But in retrospect, they were clues. Really good fashion sense, love going to the theatre and the gym. We should have put two and two together. We should have thought, hang on, his boyfriend's obviously gay. But I shouldn't mock my uncle because he's like the closest thing to a father that I've had. Well, apart from my dad, obviously. I think I know what you're all thinking. You're all thinking, when's this guy going to do some jokes about being Asian? But I promise you, right? No jokes about my cultural background or my religion. Cross my heart, hope to die. But then when I die, I get reincarnated because I'm Hindu. Whereas when you lot die, you're dead forever. You pathetic mortal losers. No offense. So I am Asian, but I'm Hindu, so you know. I'm one of the good ones. Because I used to work for the Samaritans, that's why so I said I'm Hindu. I was raised to be Hindu, but I don't really believe in God. And I'm at best skeptical about reincarnation. So I'm more kind of, Hindubious. I actually believe that after death, there's nothing but a black, empty, eternal void. Now I can sense I've kind of killed the comedy vibe, which is interesting because those exact same comments are the reason I no longer work for the Samaritans. How can they find me? It's so unfair. Suicidal people will call in and talk to me, and I must have cured dozens of them. Because they never called back, so... Too dark, too soon? So I'm not religious, but if I was going to pick a religion, it would be Hinduism, because we've got a God with an elephant head. I mean, yeah, there's reincarnation, eternal life, whatever, but we've got a God with an elephant head. People say India's not progressive. Trump, great comedian, he's trying to ban transgender people from joining the military. We've got a trans-species God. And we've had it for 3,500 years. That is progressive. And his name is? Anybody? Ganesh, very good, well done. Good cultural knowledge there. In an otherwise very uniform audience. So there's different stories as to how Ganesh ended up with an elephant head. So Oxford, would you like to hear the version of the Ganesh story that I was told as a boy?
Yeah.
I said, would you like to hear the version of the Ganesh story that I was told as a boy?
Yeah.
That's a shame, so I'm just going to tell you the version that works best with the following jokes. So Ganesh's mother was Parvati, goddess of fertility, and his father was Shiva, god of destruction. I was going to put a joke in here about Paula Abdul, opposites attract. Does anyone actually know who Paula Abdul is? No? Yeah, okay, good. Good thing I didn't go for that joke. So just to be clear, right, Ganesh wasn't born with an elephant head. It was something he acquired in later life, you know, like a sense of humour or cynicism or pubes. Because imagine if he was born with an elephant head. Can you imagine how painful that would be for Parvati? I think that would be enough to convert her from the goddess of fertility to the goddess of let's consider adoption. So anyway, so Shiva, his father, went off to war for many years, leaving Parvati behind pregnant without even knowing it. And just to be clear, right, it's definitely Shiva's baby. This is not Jeremy Kyle, okay? And then he came back many years later, and Ganesh had grown up by this time. He's guarding the family house. And Ganesh didn't let Shiva in, so an argument ensued because Ganesh didn't know that Shiva was his dad, and Shiva didn't even know that he had a son. So I guess a little bit Jeremy Kyle. Fair enough. So an argument ensued, a fight escalated, and Shiva, a fully grown, responsible adult male god, cut the head off Ganesh, a little boy, his own son. Oxford, you're not mortified by this. In fact, I've never had a night out in Oxford. Is that how you roll? Okay. Call me like a lefty liberal, but in my view, losing your temper and decapitating a child, that's usually not appropriate. It's rarely appropriate. It's never appropriate. Let's just say it's never appropriate, but maybe Shiva was having a midlife crisis. I apologise for that joke. I deserve that. Don't clap it. You didn't encourage me. So what happened next is that Shiva realised that Ganesh was his son because he saw like a symbol on a family weapon. So he runs into the forest, cuts the head of the first animal that he sees, and he puts it on Ganesh's body. You know, to save his life, obviously. Like basic first aid. You can have that. You can live with that head for a couple of minutes. I just think it's lucky that Shiva found an elephant because it's quite a majestic beast. Because imagine how the iconography of Hinduism would have suffered if Ganesh ended up with the head of, I don't know, a beaver. If that happened, I don't think I'll be the only one that'd be Hindubious. That was a callback to a previous joke. But to me, the most amazing part of this story, right, is that when Shiva brings Ganesh with an elephant head back home to Parvati, Parvati was cool with it. And just to put that into perspective, Oxford, right, I've got two little boys. Last week, I picked them up from nursery and I accidentally brought them back with their wrong jackets. And my wife went mental. And bear in mind, Oxford, I even brought them back with their correct original actual heads. But Parvati was fine. If anything, Parvati was just trying to console Ganesh. She just said, "Hey, little buddy, why are you crying? What's wrong?" "What elephant head? No. Better blow your nose there, buddy." "Just blow for me." "Ah, there you go." No, honestly, it looks fine. Could have been worse, could have been a beaver. Anyway, bedtime now. Go upstairs and don't forget to brush your tusks. Oh, I've got some of Ganesh's snot on my hand. It's okay, it's imaginary. So I said before that I need to stand up, but actually I did a bunch of gigs about 10 years ago, but I gave up after a few gigs because my sort of comedic sensibilities and insights were a bit sort of misaligned from like the audience back then. Okay, I wasn't funny. And I know it's going to sound really arrogant to compare myself to one of the most sort of worshipped and revered figures of all time, but ever since I returned to stand-up, I felt like a connection with his story. You know, everyone thinking he was dead, then he gets miraculously resurrected, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like the Craig David of stand-up comedy. And just like Craig David, I met my wife on a Monday, and then, I took her for a drink on Tuesday, and this next bit's a bit personal. I'm not sure I'm telling you this, but we were making love by Wednesday. Well, it was a Wednesday, 5 months later. And on Thursday, Friday, then on Saturday, she sends me an email about extra strength Viagra. There's my jokes, Oxford. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.